Hello and welcome to Inspirations from Brighton podcast, the podcast about inspiring people from Brighton and Hove and other cities in Sussex. My name is Klára Markovičová and I will be your host and guide in this mindful and inspiring journey of different people's stories from south coast of England. Are you ready to step onto the path to get inspired by those who have constantly been stepping out of their comfort zone in order to achieve their dreams? Without further ado, it's time to hear Inspirations from Brighton. Hello everyone and welcome back to Inspirations from Brighton episode number 1. I'm your host Klára Markovičová and joining me today to talk about the adventurous life being a professional dancer and dance teacher in Brighton is Marta Scott. Marta Ribeiro Scott is a dancer and performer from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, with many background experience from working as a professional dancer and singer in Europe, Israel and USA, including Las Vegas and New York, to performing on Broadway. Marta has been teaching Latin and jazz dances plus samba for 24 years in the UK. She was the lead choreographer of Brighton School of Samba and has paraded and choreographed dance groups at 8th grade Notting Hill carnivals with the London School of Samba. The Marta Scott Dance Company is 13 years old here in the UK and has won many awards. Marta Scott is the runner-up in the Lucas Awards 2019 for the Outstanding Female Dance Performer in Latin. Marta says, "Dance has been the joy of my life for 47 years. I like to make people smile as it is my fuel to carry on. You are never too old to dance. Join us anytime and much dance love." Let's dive straight into our conversation with Marta. Hello Marta and welcome to Inspirations from Brighton podcast.
Wow.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very honored to be here.
We are honored to be here.
To be interviewed by Klára. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
So, would you like to first introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background? I know lots of people especially from Brighton, know you, but maybe there are some listeners who don't know you yet.
Okay, so I am actually Marta Ribeiro Scott, because I'm from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And I've been in this country for, 28 years now. And yes, really beautiful country. And Brighton especially is the best place to be in England. South of England, by the sea, yes. So I am an entertainer. I have been an entertainer for many, many years, and super happy to be here in Brighton as well.
Oh, that's great. You mentioned the sea. I know that your life used to be a lot on the sea because you were traveling with cruise ship. Is that right?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, and, super true.
And I heard that you were also dancing with a very famous Brazilian show. Would you like to tell us about?
Yes, so I have, as I mentioned, I have been dancing for many years. I have been dancing for 46 years actually. And so I started as a jazz dancer in Brazil at the age of 14 and carried on. And at the age of about 21, I went to an audition of a very famous show called Oba Oba. The Oba Oba show was to bring a big cast of incredible entertainers from Brazil to Italy. The producer is Italian, so he wanted to showcase the Brazilian culture. So I went for an audition as a dancer, as a professional dancer. That was my role. And so I left Brazil, I was 21, and straight to Rome. And we rehearsed, and the big show started in Rome. But this producer took us almost everywhere in Europe. We ended up in Israel, then we ended up in Las Vegas. Las Vegas show was like 1 year in Las Vegas. incredible. And he managed to get us from Las Vegas to Broadway, New York, which is unheard of. Usually shows from New York on Broadway goes to Las Vegas, and we managed to do the other around.
Nice.
And it was the actual first Brazilian show on Broadway. Our famous Carmen Miranda, she did not on Broadway, she was just off Broadway. So we are quite proud of stepping on Broadway. And then we went to California, we did lots of shows there. I worked for this company called Oba Oba. It's an expression of joy. For 5 years and a half, I went back to Brazil, had 1 year and a half in Rio de Janeiro doing television work, theatre, and then an audition again for another company, and that was the cruise lines. That's when I went to the big cruises. Not big cruises, but they were called daily cruises from Miami to the Caribbean and Bahamas. Mm-hmm. It was another Brazilian company. The producer actually Brazilian. She lives in Florida at the moment, still in Florida. But yes, so I worked in this cruise line for about 2 years and a half. And I was still the dancer, then I became the assistant choreographer as well, and also working with the cruise line staff duties. There's a lot of work on the cruise line. And I'm a singer as well. So at one point she needed someone to cover the singer's spot when the singer needed a day off. So I was starting just to cover her shifts as a singer. So slowly from dancer I became a singer. And then this amazing singer left the show. So I became the star of the show. And every now and then I could dance still. It was incredible experience. And then the producer managed to sell the show to Miami, to go off the cruise lines and to actually perform in Miami for at least 2 years in a beautiful showroom connected to another show in Rio de Janeiro. This Rio de Janeiro show, very famous, called Scala Rio. She managed to do Scala Miami. And so that's when she said, Marta, you're only going to be our star. You don't have to do the cruise duties or anything. And I was basically on the ships, I was working as the producer because she was not in the cruise line. She was based in Florida. So I was like doing her job a little bit. But when I moved to Miami, I just had to be the star of the show, singing, dancing, having lots of fun.
Not that bad. But the cruise ship life, it's quite difficult, isn't it?
It can be. Not everybody can actually live on a ship, cruise line. I had very funny entertainers, they would like, oh, I feel like I'm in an aquarium. I feel like a fish. I'm in an aquarium, I can't go anywhere. So, basically, you are on a ship, in a small cabin. Usually they are very small cabins. And you just can't go to the corner and buy some sweets or anything, or go to the cinema, nothing like that. So you're surrounded by water. So not everybody can actually accept that sort of a life. But in my case, that ship, the ships that I worked, they were called daily ships. So basically we would go Miami to an island in the Caribbean or Bahamas, and you could leave for 2 to 3 hours, so you could explore the beaches and the place, and then back on the ship and back there. They were daily ships, but some ships are 4-day cruises, 7-day cruises, so sometimes they are a lot on surrounded by water. So, but I enjoyed it because it was actually a paid job, no taxes, doing what I love most, being an entertainer, and visiting wonderful places. So I couldn't complain.
How many
in
years?
that sense. On the ships, for me, it was 2 years and a half. Yeah, on the ships. And then we passed to the Miami, based on land, back to land.
So what brought you to England?
Aha! They call love ship. Love ship for a while. Well, I met this British man called Marta Scott. He was on board as well. I was at that time 28 years old, and he was 24 years old. And Martin was always watching our show. He was always there watching. And we were like, the cast, what's that man always watching? Because the thing is, Martin was a croupier. He was working in the casino. So we always knew that, the ones that work less hours on the ships are the croupiers, because the casino cannot open till 3 miles of the coast. So we entertainers start working really, really, really soon as the staff duties. And but the croupiers, they have to wait, a few hours for opening the casino. It was not allowed to open straight away, and it was the other way around as well. They had to close the casino before we would arrive in the island or back to Miami. So that's why Martin had the time to watch our show. We entertainers were the last ones to work. We had to entertain the passengers till the very last second before they would get their belongings and leave the ship to the island or back. And Martin was watching the show all the time, and then approached me at breakfast time. The rest is history. So no, it's not history. But obviously we were going out together, and then later on, after I went to Miami, as I explained, Martin still carried on working on the ship, so we could see each other. And then I felt a little bit tired of all the traveling, feeling like a gypsy, my belongings everywhere in Rio or on the ships and stuff like that. So I just needed a break. And then the choices were going back to Rio de Janeiro or coming to England because he's British. I said, well, it will be a bit difficult to work in Brazil. Financially, it would be a little bit more difficult. At that time, he couldn't speak Portuguese fluent. So, and then in Brazil, still, unfortunately, we don't have legal casinos, so we didn't want to work illegally anyway. And obviously, him being British would be easier for him to come back to here and get a job in the casino quite quickly, and then I would find my way. So that's why I'm here. Martin was born around Worthing area, Darrington, and we came to this area first. And then he brought me to Brighton to visit. And I said, oh my gosh, this is such a lively city. I want to live here. There are so many young people and artists and all sorts, such a beautiful, open-minded city. And it just felt like I needed to move to Brighton. And that was 20 years ago. 28 years ago. Yeah, it was 1995 that we came here and got married in 1995.
Nice. And have you ever thought to come back to Brazil?
We did, but always finding the same problem of work. Work is quite difficult in my beautiful country. So, and we got used to the lifestyle here as well. Obviously, we have our daughter. She is British, although she's not here anymore. She's living a beautiful life in America, near Chicago. And but obviously, she's British. And it's a big decision to actually live in Brazil, but we never know. I mean, weather-wise, it's fantastic, but work is another story.
You work as a dance teacher here. So did your work then be a dancer actually, or your career? Did it start with those auditions, or had you been dancing before?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. In Brazil, as I said, I was trained as a jazz dancer, ballet, and then obviously I'm Latin. That's what I teach here mainly. But I only taught a little bit in Brazil. I was about 18 years old because I was studying physical education at PE University, and so I needed to practice as well as a teacher. But never been my passion to be a teacher. A dance teacher. I always wanted to entertain. I always wanted to be an entertainer. But I started teaching a little bit, so I had a little bit of experience. I could teach in schools, for example. I did teach in schools a little bit, but never been my passion. And then all these auditions came about, so I fell in love with being an entertainer on the most beautiful stages in the world. And when we finally came here to Brighton, and in my mind, because I worked in Las Vegas, Las Vegas, the capital of shows. Shows everywhere. Every corner of Las Vegas, shows. And I just assumed, okay, so we're going to go back to Brighton. You're going to work in a casino. Martin back into a casino. I'm going to be an entertainer. I'm going to entertain, be part of a British show.
Not a bad plan.
Yeah, that was back 95. And Martin goes, no. Shows are not allowed in casinos in England. I said, what? Casino shows, they go together. It's not in Britain. It's not allowed. At that time, you don't have a license for entertainment. I was so disappointed.
I can imagine.
I was so disappointed. Oh no, I can't believe this. So yeah, that was not that type of work that I was going to do. But I was open to anything, But because I speak 4 languages, I said maybe I could work as a receptionist in the casino somewhere. And then he got a job really quickly, the Brighton group in the casinos, and then they could offer, he says, no, we don't have a position for waitressing, but we have a position for you maybe to be a croupier, to actually be in the school of, I said, me? Learning to be a croupier, casino, your job, your career? Yeah, you can do that. And then at that time, they used to pay for us to work. To learn the career. I said, I never had that. I'm going to be paid to learn the career and possibly get a job in here. So, I like that. So it was a 9-to-5 kind of training school for 6 weeks. So I was trained as a croupier, being paid as a croupier. Not a lot of money, but I was being paid to learn something new when I was 32 years old. So I'm going to learn something new at 32. Yes, I was successful. I was not the best croupier in the world, but I got the experience and the license and the career. They employed me. And Martin was working in the same casino, so I became a croupier for about total about 5 years. I was a croupier, but for 2 years full time, and then I went part time because then I fell pregnant, and so I went part time to raise our beautiful Marta Scott. So that was basically my first job here in England. And but at one point Martin was saying, Marta, why don't you teach? Why don't you just teach? Drop the casino and go teach. No, I don't like teaching. I don't like teaching. I like performing. But slowly I realized I won't be able to perform because there's not a lot of jobs, and I was getting older for the dancing industry. So I decided to try. And approached one of the gyms that I was actually a member, called Dragon Health Club. And I approached them, and I was actually going for a salsa class in there. And the teacher goes, "Oh, you're a very good dancer." I said, "No, actually, maybe I would like to teach." He goes, "Oh, you can cover my classes when I need." And there was Danny, the salsa teacher. So that's what happened slowly. And then, but I still had to audition and show my skills, and I had to show my diploma in physical education. So eventually, they gave me a class, a Friday. Never forgot. A Friday, 12 o'clock was my only class, and I mixed Latin dance with a bit of jazzy things, and that's how I first started. And I worked for Dragons for 2 years consecutive, just for them. Mm-hmm. So I was working that Friday, and still part-time in the casino. Then Martin came, "Why don't you quit the casino and just invest on teaching?" Because then I fell in love. I fell in love of being a teacher, because I realized that by teaching new people, whoever was coming to my class, whatever ages, abilities, I was still an entertainer of somehow. I was entertaining these people, and for me, every time I would step on the classrooms, for me in my mind was a stage. I have to entertain. I have to entertain everybody. So I started enjoying it, this aspect of being a dance teacher, instructor, but also an entertainer. So I was pouring my emotions and my love for dance and entertaining in just a class, just teaching a class. And there was 2 years of that, and then I finally had the guts to say no to employment and became self-employed. and approached other health clubs to teach in other places. So I start building up my timetable, my weekly timetable.
So is it like 23 years old?
24 years ago, I start teaching.
Wow.
I'm that old.
So what kind of dance do you specialize, if the listeners don't know?
My type of class, I call it Latin funky fitness. Why? Why do I do all this broad? Because some people just find it, if I just call it one style, they find they don't belong. So it's an exercise through dance, and the Latin is obviously the most important ingredient. But being a jazz dancer, there's always a little bit of a class in the movements, because jazz and ballet gives you the class, but Latin based, and the funkiness, because I can bring all sorts of music and sounds, more contemporary and current songs, to embrace all tastes, and hopefully everybody can enjoy it in whatever ability they've got.
I can imagine you have a busy schedule. Do you teach every day?
I basically teach at least Mondays to Fridays, yes. 2 or 3 classes per day in different places, even outdoors. And, I think you might ask about a little bit more, but I still perform. I managed to eventually still perform. So we do have some gigs, shows that happens weekends and festivals and things like that.
And besides that, I will ask you about the shows in a little bit. But besides that, do you teach also like private classes or some workshops?
Yes, I'm always available for private classes. Often happens that someone completely new comes to me and says, I couldn't follow much. I think I need something. Do you have a beginner's class? And I said, well, I actually don't have a beginner's class. Everybody just comes in and do what they can. But I could recommend you a private lesson, or they even ask, I think I need a private lesson so I can get all the basics, so then I can join the group. I said, oh yeah, of course. So it usually happens that they ask me for a private lesson I could explain what's salsa, what's merengue, what's cha-cha-cha, what's samba and jazz, or whatever styles they want. Or the jazz dancers, they want to improve their jazz skills, and they ask for private lessons as well. Sometimes couples, they want to learn the couples, salsa dancing, stuff like that. Or they want to have a first dance for their wedding, to practice something or to choreograph something for their first dance. Yeah.
That's nice that you
hen parties. Hen parties, sometimes they want a dance class for hen party.
That's great to know.
It's really good. Yeah, it's good extra job. Those would be the extra jobs, not the weekly jobs. Yeah.
You mentioned group as well. Yeah. So do you have any dance group here in Brighton?
Yeah, that dance group, it happened. I did not plan that. Going back to this place that I first place that I ever taught, Dragons Health Club. And then when I decided to quit the casino and I went to teach in different places, another place that I was based for a long time, many years, Coral Health Club. And I moved there on a Wednesday morning. And once a lady, friends of friends, owner of a dance studio as well, she came to my class and she really enjoyed it. And then she, incredibly amazing woman, and decided to do an incredible dance event. And she invested her house. She invested her house to pay for that event at the Brighton Centre. Brighton Centre in Brighton, seafront. Super expensive. She was really frightened, but she invested. I know her story. She invested a lot of money to put that show there. So she called the Make Your Move at the Brighton Centre, 2010. Yeah. So basically 14 years ago. So she opened that show, and there was like stalls of dance merchandise and workshops happening in that Brighton Centre. Every possible room were happening, different workshops of local teachers or famous people as well. People that won the Britain's Got Talent and stuff like that. So she invested a lot of money, and she had this incredible, massive stage for us to perform. So she approached me and said, Marta, would you like to bring a number? Would you like to bring a number of yours to that stage? And her name is Sarah Fry, which I'm so grateful to her. Sarah Fry. I said, Sarah, but I don't have a dance group. All I do is teaching in health clubs, my students. But maybe I could plan something. That's how it happened. So I started asking around in all the various places that I was teaching at that time in 2010. And I said, look, we have the possibility of performing on this incredible stage for Make Your Move event. And who would like to be on board? I can choreograph a piece and we go for them. In the end, Clara, I had 46 wow. dancers on that stage. And I needed, because it was massive. And at that time as well, I had 2 other Brazilians on board. No, 3. Yeah, 3 other Brazilians. 2 boys, which is Ricardo Cher, he's my dance partner. Leandro's not here in the country anymore. He's in New York in another kind of job. And Luzia is still here. So at that time I had 3 Brazilians with me and all the various nationalities on that stage. All ages. I had from 20-year-olds till 70-year-olds on that stage.
That's
46 of us. We didn't have a costume, so I said to them, let's wear white, everybody in white, which they were, oh no, white, it's making it fat. no, it looks nice. Everybody in white and, what was it, gold accessories, earrings or something on your head. And I had my Brazilian flag I had my Brazilian flag to fly about. And the 2 boys had a Brazil t-shirt, yellow t-shirt and white trousers. It's on YouTube. And I choreographed the song called Masquinada from the Black Eyed Peas. Samba funk. Yeah, that kind of mixture. Samba and funk. Yeah, and that was 14 years ago when she asked me, what's the name of your company? I just didn't know what to say. Oh, the Marta Scott Dance Company. Marta Scott Dance Company. And that's how it was being alive for 14 years. From this job, it started coming invitations for other places to perform, festivals and different various gigs and projects.
Mm-hmm. So is Marta Scott Dance Company still open for new people to join?
Oh, it's always. My doors are super open, never shut. All genders, all abilities, all ages, races, shape and form. I even worked with disabilities as well. So yeah, literally open to anyone to join us.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm sure that there will be some listeners who will join your classes.
Yeah, come along.
The company maybe
we are very, very welcoming, very friendly. We became a very, very close friendship as well. We built up so many friends along the way. We sometimes know too much about each other, but in a helpful way, of course.
Yeah, more than 14 years ago. 14 years, it's a lot, yeah.
Yeah. 14 years of Marta Scott Dance Company, but 24 years teaching. So before that, I still have students 24 years with me from the very beginning.
I like on your classes, I really like they are, and I think lots of people actually appreciate that they are full of energy, joy, they are very joyful. When you dance, when you teach, you express lots of gratitude and people just want to be there to dance with you. And I'm not sure if I read it somewhere or I heard it somewhere, but I heard that someone said that you should be teaching also in NHS and everybody would recover. I think that's brilliant. Another thing what I heard is that you've been called Marta of the Lawns, Where this come from? And why the lawns?
Oh yeah, it's so funny. You never know what can happen to your life in general. Yeah, we all been super horribly affected by the horrible COVID and pandemic. And all of a sudden, everything that I built up, working in health clubs and everything, I'm talking about my experience, but everybody's lives were disrupted so much. And at that time, it was 2020, I remember, the COVID and pandemic happened. And obviously all the buildings, all the health clubs that I was teaching, they had to close down. Close down. I remember entering home at one point, Martin, my husband, I am officially unemployed. I have no places to teach. I have no places to perform. My income is gone. I have nothing to bring it on. And I was in tears, as many people were as well, because I felt that I had my purpose in this life. I always felt is to bring what I know, my knowledge, and to make people fit mentally and physically through my dance. So this was taken away from me, and I felt like my purpose is gone. I have no purpose in this life. Everything was gone. I was quite desperate, as lots of us were in the whole world. And one student, Michaela, that has been with me for so long as well, she at one point just called me and says, Marta, would you consider maybe going outside in a park? And you could teach me from very far distance a jazz. You wanted to carry on her jazz dance journey. We can really far away from each other, from the speaker, and she's got a little boy, so my boy can just play in the park there. I said, yes, let's go for it. It was a private lesson, and at that time when we could at least teach one-to-one. And she had this idea of teaching outdoors, outside, that never clicked. And I live between the two beautiful Palmyra Square and Brunswick Square. And there are so many parks around. There's the Hove Lawns right there. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And that became something, obviously it was on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And people were approaching me, oh, I want to do a private lesson with you. Da, da, da. So that started the private lessons outdoors. First was the Adelaide Crescent at Palmyra Square, kind of hidden from a lot of people watching. Later on, the residents were complaining a little bit about the sound. Some were really positive and some were complaining, oh, it's too loud, we have to work from home, so can you maybe move to the seafront? I thought, okay. So I taught there for a good 8 months, I think, the Adelaide Crescent, so I was pushed out because of the sounds, because I call my speaker Loud Latina.
Oh,
Loud Latina. So we went to the seafront, right there, on Hove Lawns, in front of the Palmyra Square, next to the cafe, the Lawns Cafe. And I started teaching there, and more people. So visually, my work, it was incredible. Never my teaching work was so exposed. I was, God, they're going to judge me. It's so exposed. And I made trying to make all the people that were coming to me and dancing with me as relaxed as possible, and just pretend nobody's watching. Because it was not a studio as such. Anyone passing by, people on living on these beautiful buildings could watch us from above with binoculars, and everybody's watching. We don't know who's watching. But the funny thing was, because I was teaching on the actual grass, on the lawns of Hove, that's when the nickname came about. Marta of the Lawns. Are you the famous one, Marta of the Lawns? I said, yes, that's me.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you still teach outdoors on the lawn?
Yes, I'm still doing it, because in pandemic finished, thank God for that. But the students still fell in love with the outdoors, and some of them never went back indoors. They still wanted to do outdoors or weathers. So I am still teaching that 3 times a week if the weather behaves. Tuesdays and Fridays at 12, and Thursdays by 10:30 by the I-360 area. But again, we can do all weathers. Even we did snow and rain and windy, but heavy rain I can't do because of the speaker. Mm-hmm. If I know beforehand it's gonna rain, then I have another studio that I can go inside. It's called Vida Active in Hove. But the rain would stop my speaker and ruin it, so I can't do it now. We can get wet, but not the speaker. Yeah. If we get caught there, then I put a cover on it, but I avoid the rain.
So how people and how listeners can join your classes, or outdoors or indoors?
Yeah.
Do you have any website or social media?
Yeah, I do have the website. If you just put Marta Scott and Company, it gets in there straight away. Instagram is scott.marta. Facebook, Marta Scott. There's another Marta Scott, but she's my friend. So, she teaches jive and stuff like that. And what else I was going to say? Yeah, you can just, my classes are drop-in based, especially the outdoor ones. I mean, almost the majority of them are drop-in based. At the moment, it's £8 per. I usually ask for cash, And then I teach in various health clubs. So some of the health clubs, they have their own rates. So you have to just do a little research. Yeah, Marta Scott and Company is the key of the website. You can find straight away on Google.
Yeah, I will put
Google,
links.
Oh, you can put the link underneath.
Links in the show notes so everyone can see that.
That would be
follow
great.
you.
Yeah, welcome.
And
welcome.
Besides, before we finish, I wanted to ask you about the shows. Do you are there any shows and festivals we can see you this year?
Oh, this year. Yeah, usually, I haven't been contacted yet because it's quite early in the year. We have the Spring Festival, usually happens at St. Well Gardens in Hove. I don't know the dates and schedules yet. Sometimes we do fringe demos, fringe festivals demos, Saturdays in the afternoon. And the biggest of all is Pride Parade. We've been involved since 2015. And I'm going to work on it to be in there as well. There are two very famous ones that I love being involved. It's called Take Part. Take Part is in June. They have already a date. I can't remember anymore at the moment. It might be the 19th. It's a Saturday in June. It's called Take Part. It's very important because it's what it says. All groups of Brighton and Hove, they take part. And there's a big stage there. And connected to that beautiful one is December as well, the Christmas one at the Brighton Centre, at the Syndicate Wings. That one I always want a big part of it. It's called Dance Active. It's a very famous one that we love being involved. In between, there's always festivals that we've done before and they contact me again. The Duck Fair is usually the end of August. Patcham. So I just, They contact me slowly and then we put in the calendar. Mm-hmm. If you go on the website, there's an events calendar there so you can follow us.
Oh, that's great. And before I let you go, I always ask my guests for like 5 questions just for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
So the first one, do you have any pets?
Pets? Mm-hmm. Yes, I do have 2 cats. Ah. Yeah, 2 black cats. They actually not mine. They were our daughter's cats, but she left us, so they are with us. It's called Sooty and Blackjack. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Do you read books?
Only Clara's book. She's a great writer.
And, well, thank you so much.
There's another lady called Bahira. Bahira, she's my student. I read her book as well.
Oh. Yeah. So, do you have any favorite book?
Oh yes, I have my favorite book ever, and still is The Little Prince. Mm. Oh, I love that book. There's so many beautiful messages. Yeah, Little Prince, Le Petit Prince in French.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So you are very busy with your schedule and you're dancing always. So what do you do to relax and unwind?
Oh yes, that's a great question. When my week finishes and I don't have any gigs in the weekend, I absolutely adore going to the cinema. I'm a huge cinema lover. and musicals. I love musicals as well. So basically, I want to be on the other side. I just want to sit down, entertain me, because I've been entertaining everybody for hours and hours and weeks. So this is my reminding, relax, watch people.
And what's your favorite season of the year?
Oh, season, I would say, spring, summer. Ooh, hard to choose. My birthday is in spring, which is quite soon, March 21st. So that transition of spring and summer is the best.
And last question, is there anything you would like to say to our listeners?
All right, yes. I just read it today. Today, someone tagged me on Facebook. How important is to keep moving. Keep moving, whatever you love most. Walking, running, dancing, cycling, swimming, blah, blah, blah. But what I was tagged on was Fred Astaire. You know Fred Astaire, the famous tap dancer? He was saying how it was proven scientifically, out of all the exercises that you can do, what is the best? Dance. Dance is the top one against dementia, Alzheimer. So has proven scientifically, lots of researches, which avoids, getting these horrible ones, because we work so much our brain and body and the connection of everything. So obviously I'm biased because I'm a dance teacher, but keep moving. Don't stop moving. Everything seizes up if you stop moving. But dancing, I recommend dance.
I absolutely agree with that.
Hey, cool.
Marta, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you today.
It's dance love, isn't it?
Yeah,
dance love.
Thank you so much.
Obrigada, Gina.
We are at the end of this episode of Inspirations from Brighton. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any comments or suggestions or just want to reach out, please get in touch with me via my website travelbrighttours.com, where you can also find show notes for today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please share the podcast with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe and review the show. I also invite you to Inspirations from Brighton Motivation and Podcast group on Facebook, where you can interact with other inspiring people and be motivated with different content shared out there. Thank you so much, and as always, I look forward to share Inspirations from Brighton with you very soon.